Hello everyone, welcome back to OC Recovery's YouTube channel. I wanted to make a video piggybacking off the video that Rob just made. It went up today, which is May 27th. It's called Acceptance into Recovery or something along the lines of that. And I wanted to talk about my experiences with acceptance and why I think acceptance is the missing tool in anything, right? Mental health and school systems and emotional disturbances, and why I think unconditional self-life, other acceptance has a lot of misunderstanding, which is totally understandable, and how we get it wrong as a society, just on the basis of, again, trying to force it. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button, really good for the algorithm. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know about some of your perspective shifts you may or may not have had when it comes to acceptance. So as many as you, I could rest my, oh, look at that. Is that gonna stay like that? Oh, that is a win. Thank you, Volkswagen. When I was suffering with sensory motor OCD, I didn't realize how big unconditional life acceptance was going to be in my life. Now, it's super important to realize that I didn't realize just how important it was going to be until I started moving further into my recovery journey. Now, this is from my addictive behaviors and addictions that I was dealing with at the time, including my video game addiction. Being in a relationship with someone, looking at that, there's more than likely no such thing as a soulmate or the one, and why Erica is a different person than me, and she doesn't have to see things my way, nor do I have to see things her way, nor do I have to agree with everything she says. And if she disagrees with everything I say, then that's her that's her choice as well. So unconditional life acceptance has spilt over from OCD into basically all of my relationships in my life, including, you know, my friendships, my intimate relationships, my relationship with my mother, my OCD journey and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a very interesting concept when you start to really look at unconditional self-life, other acceptance, and their perspective means in different topics. In the, I believe it's 176, the page, it's about maybe 174 to 188. Back end of how to stubbornly refuse to make yourself miserable about anything, yes, anything. Albert Ellis breaks down lists of irrational belief topics and then different beliefs that we see inside that. So he looked at marital. I'm losing the word right now. Marriage irrational beliefs, looking at, you know, stuff like the other person has to enjoy certain type of intimate behaviors I like. They must like doing the same things I want to do. And then all these different belief systems that really tend to get us into trouble, which is not really a good thing for us. So that, and then looking at, you know, political irrationalities and love irrationalities and sport irrationalities and stuff like that. So once you start to see unconditional self-life, other acceptance through the perspective of most people are trapped, and I was asked this in the what subgroups. So human beings view emotional disturbance as suffering. Suffering has a meaning that you put on it. Nothing is actually suffering unless you see it as such. How do we know this? The Vietnam monk, the original video where the monk lit himself on fire, is a great example of that. He was probably physically suffering since he lit himself on fire and he burned to death. But his composure, I don't think he saw it that way because he had a very good mindful approach on doing it for an ideology and a reason for protesting the Vietnam War. So a lot of people will say to me, well, other people aren't suffering. And I would have to disagree with that. I think that unless you practice unconditional self-life, other acceptance pretty regularly, hence why I think it should be taught in the school systems, I think that most people are majorly suffering to some degree. Their entire life is controlled what other people think about them. They care about the status quo. They're super hyped up in celebrity culture. They're super involved in social media culture. And there's nothing wrong inherently with any of these things. But the way that we use it is really unbalanced. And it kind of brings people to this area in their life where they're not actually doing anything for themselves anymore. They're just living entirely off the basis of other people. And this is something that we see all the time. So I think it's really important to break that down, because if you don't break it down, you start to realize just how trapped you are in the mind. And I mean, people are definitely trapped. I'm putting my AC back on. Oh my gosh, it's almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think I don't know what that is, 30 degrees Celsius. And if you saw my videos from Rob, I was up in 3.5 feet of snow last week, which is crazy because that's Colorado for you. Whoop, it's like the OCD journey, especially this time of year. So, you know, when you look at the things in your life that emotionally disturb you, this is a discussion I have with my wife, and we don't always see eye to eye on this. It's just the way I see it. So there's no really easy way to say this because of the belief systems that we have in the society. Nobody... You're trying to guilt me or shame me. No one can guilt you and no one can shame you without your permission. No one can anger you without your permission. I need you to think clearly about what I'm saying here. I know a lot of people are talking about gaslighting. I know a lot of people are talking about being, other people shaming you. It is virtually impossible, 100% impossible, not 99, 100%, for someone else to shame you without your belief system being the primary cause of why you feel shamed. So let's say that someone is telling you to get your shit together, right? They're like, listen, you're fucking up, get your shit together. And you're saying, you're making me feel guilty and shameful. No, you just don't like what that person is saying to you. I mean, you don't have to agree with them, but you don't like what they're saying to you, so you believe that person is trying to shame and guilt you. That person is not shaming and guilting you. One of the most famous quotes in Stoicism, it takes two people to become angry. It's an Aristotle quote, Greco-Roman philosophy. And I have turned that into it takes two people to be offended. Nobody can physically offend you with words, no matter if it's whatever in your concept that you can think about. If someone said the worst thing to you, if they were like, your wife is fat, your wife is ugly, she's an idiot, she's stupid, that is not offensive unless I make it offensive. If you realize that, you will empower your entire life in a way that will be so mentally freeing that everyone could hate you, society could reject you, and you would have some severe deprivations from that. You'd have probably lost a connection, but you would not need to be depressed from that. You would not need to be chronically anxious from that. So I think it's really important to backpack off that video that Rob just made and really look at life in this perspective that once you realize that people are allowed to do whatever they want to do, once you realize that they can say things to you, you don't need to allow that to upset you. And once I realized that with work, this bled over into work, not getting things done, feeling like I was a failure because certain things on my to-do list weren't done on time, all those smoke and mirrors that don't really matter, because what matters is the way that I formulate my belief system over the long term. Now remember, agreement doesn't mean acceptance. And I do want to talk about sensations for a little bit and why acceptance. Think about how many people are so physically uncomfortable when they feel a certain sensation. So many people. Why is that? Well, probably because they believe that they can't. It's not probably, it is. Because they believe that if they notice this, it's terrible and horrible. So you need to look at the things in your life that are really upsetting you and really break them down by realizing that people are allowed to do and say what they want. You can't control other people. The illusion of control is an illusion, whether that's stuff on yourself or other people or the world. Once you start applying these tools, you can really bring your life, you can really recover from OCD and anxiety. It's incredible when you get there. It's very incredible. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Always comment down below. I'm always down to have discussions. I think interacting with people in the community is super important. So thank you as always, and watch the video before this with Rob, and I hope you have a great day.